Hi Carlos, thanks for visiting us.
Thank you, Laura. It's a pleasure to be here.
As the psychometrician of the European Board of Medical Assessors, you've been working with us since the very beginning of the Practicum Script international project for medical students. My question is, how can we apply measurement to a cognitive training methodology like Practicum Script?
Well, Laura, first of all, before I became a psychometrician, I was already a medical student. So before I started working with Practicum Script, I had a very long experience as a medical doctor. So when I started collaborating with Practicum Script, it was basically, love at first sight, because I have never seen any tool in the world that could give me so much insight, so much information about how experts, specialists think. Most of us medical doctors who work in education, who work in assessment, can still do a much better job in understanding how clinical reasoning works. So I think that the measurement part is important, but the most important part of Practicum Script is allowing us this unprecedented insight on how doctors think about the cases they encounter.
Can you explain us what your contribution to the clinical reasoning training program for medical students consists of?
Well, I have been collaborating in two main fronts. One of the fronts is a multicentric study that has been led by Amir Sam, the Dean of Imperial College London Faculty of Medicine, and the other front is in the investigation on the appropriateness of using Practicum Script as a summative tool so that we can have some kind of online clinical reasoning OSCE.
Connecting observable phenomena like responses to items to theoretical attributes like shortening of experiential learning is not an easy job, I guess. So how can cognitive modeling change this scenario?
We have been facing this limitation of psychometrics. I believe that maybe the overall competence of clinical reasoning really cannot be conceptualized just as a single line where we rank the students in it, because we might end up adding apples and oranges in the process. So instead of a single line, I believe that we can conceptualize clinical reasoning as a space, as a three-dimensional space. And I think cognitive diagnostic modeling allows us to better characterize this space. If we don't know what we are looking for when we assess the students, how are we going to identify the skills gaps or the knowledge gaps, right? Right now, we just give a grade and say, look, your grade was not good enough, you have to do better. But we really don't give a better prescription of what are the skills or competencies that the students or residents need to work on. And I think that by using cognitive diagnostic modeling, we can really address the points that the students need to get better, the residents need to get better, and by providing a more qualitative profile of these skills instead of just a single number, I think we can do a much better job in terms of remediation. Replacing the numbers or giving more room to the words instead of focusing just on numbers is something that cognitive diagnostic modeling allows us to do. And I think Practicum Script is perhaps one of the best places where we can apply this new methodology.
Apart from the formative perspective to train thinking skills, many universities have integrated Practicum Script into their OSCEs. What's your opinion about the summative use of Practicum Script? How reliable is it?
For the summative use of Practicum Script, which was something we needed to do during the pandemic, because a lot of schools had this need of assessing their students and putting doctors in the market, but they needed, a way to assess these students' clinical reasoning skills using a valid and reliable tool. And we showed now that the use of Practicum Script can really replace with a lot of good quality OSCE stations dedicated for clinical reasoning skills. The summative use of Practicum Script reviewed to have very high degrees of validity and reliability. So if the purpose is not only to train the students into clinical reasoning skills, educate them to develop those skills, but also to assess those skills, the summative usage of Practicum Script also went very fine.
Can you share with us any results of Practicum universities of this project we were talking at the beginning of this interview?
In this study, where it's a multicentric study where we have around 1,500 students from several different countries, we got very nice results in terms of validity and reliability. We got very nice results for validity based on internal structure for the 3 parts of the test. That includes hypothesis generation, hypothesis argumentation, and knowledge application. So in terms of validity evidence, we were able to identify those 3 dimensions with very good fit indices. So we really have very robust evidence of validity based on internal structure. And also we got very nice reliability estimates for the 3 parts of the test, which means that the scores in terms of reliability are very replicable, are very precise, are very accurate, but also in terms of validity we can really demonstrate with the evidence we got that the tool is really measuring what it is supposed to measure, what we intended to measure, because now we have very robust evidence that this tool can be used, in any country with any kind of medical student or resident in a very reliable way, in a very valid way. So I'm very happy to share these results with the Practicum team, the participating institutions, and the participating students. So I'm very happy to bring these good news.
We're very happy as well. Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, I would just like to, say from doctor to doctor, if you are someone who has a passion for clinical reasoning skills and you always wanted to know more about how doctors think, to give the diagnosis they give, to prescribe the treatments they do, Practicum Script is a very nice window to explore the cognitive processes of doctors.
Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you, Laura.